Hello and welcome back to another video, and in this one we'll take a look at building AOSP on Windows using WSL. Now this has been sort of something that I've thought about on and off early on when WSL1 came along, which is just sort of a just in time like syscall translating thing within the Windows kernel. It didn't quite work. A lot of the Java stuff that's required didn't work all that well, and there were issues all the way. So WSL2 came along, and now it's kind of mature. Still not a full distro capability, but it's still mature-ish, and you can actually do quite a lot of stuff with it. And just wanted to build Android because just kind of pushes the system to the limit. So wanted to try that out. I had some issues, so I was just looking into, all right, let's try it, build it, which I did, and show it how it's done. So I'm assuming in this case that you have a fresh install of Windows, whether it's 11 or 10, doesn't matter. Although 10's Insider Preview has a better WSL, and I think that works well, but 10 should work. I've not really tried it. I couldn't run it inside a VM, so it's actually running on my much slower 3 to 4 year old laptop. So it's going to be slow, but you guys don't have to sit through it all. Right, so the first matter of business here is having a separate raw drive, an actual physical hard drive that's not where Windows is installed. First of all, AOSP really requires ext like journaled, and NTFS is journaled and case sensitive, but it's not a Unix file system, and AOSP really requires that. So XFS, BetterFS, ext3, 4, all of these work fine. And what you need to do is get a separate disk, unformatted disk, and connect it to your system with by any means necessary, USB or an internal SATA or whatever. So if I go into disk management here, you can see there is disk 0 that is not formatted at all. It's a 250 gig SSD and there's nothing on it, and sort of keep 250 gig SSD as the minimum requirement, because once things are built, only around 30ish gigs is left. So Android is a big project. So there you have it, 250 gig SSD. And below here is my 120 gig regular drive. First order of business is to install WSL. So open PowerShell, Windows Terminal, whatever, and we'll just sort of run WSL install. And this will install Ubuntu. And so if you run WSL install for the first time, this sort of things where are different. I've already tried this, so again, a lot of things are already set up for me, but I'm trying to guide you from a bare bones setup as much as possible. So WSL install will give you a full WSL install with kernel, GUI, and Ubuntu as a default distro. But I wanted to start fresh, so I uninstalled Ubuntu, and installing the entire WSL thing is kind of, everyone has different take on how to do it, so I didn't do it. So I'm using install -d and Ubuntu. That should install Ubuntu for me, and if you do WSL that install, that should install everything, including Ubuntu. And once that's done for you, from a fresh install, you will need to reboot. I don't have to reboot because the subsystem is already installed. So yeah, okay, let's add a new username, a new password, and that's done. There we have it. That's it. So now the first order of business is to set up our hard drive. For that we need a list of drives, and here's a guide, so you can just copy from here, but this should give you a list of drives that are available. So you can see I just have physical drive 0 and physical drive 1. And physical drive 0 is the 250 gig SSD, the Samsung SSD I have in just for WSL. And so I can run the other command, which is WSL mount, and then this path. So take it here and restart. Oops. Oh no. Mm-hmm. I'm too used to the Linux terminal. I can't, like, for copy and paste. It's kind of different. I'm used to Control Shift C and V. That didn't work. So I have to select this and paste it. All right. So that's mounted. But you can see there's an error called, say, like it failed to mount. That's because we don't have FS tab set up for this particular thing in Ubuntu, and we are going to do that. I will increase the text size a bit because I know with Windows this might be a problem for everyone watching. Right. So here, if I do dmessage, you can see that the SDD drive is there, and if I do fs disk L, then wow, the terminal is not having a good day today. So sudo fdisk L should give me the list of disks. You can see the last one is SDD, and that's the correct disk that we need. And then we now need to add mount options. So we'll edit fs tab and then add /sdd and mount it to /home rec data. We need to create that folder. We'll mount it as xfs. We do need to format the drive, so we'll do all of that in a bit. And we have our mount flags that we need to set up. So let me just pull up the ones that I use personally. No fail because we still needed to boot if you not attach it, and then auto and like the way the order I type them in is important because some of them override the previous ones. User or w exec and x-gbfs show dev suid. And so no fail auto user read write exec xgbfs show dev suid, and that should give us a nice file system mount that we can play with. So we can now format it as let's do it using gparted, why not? So sudo install and because this is WSL2, GUI forwarding is a thing, and that should be easy enough for us. Wait for a minute. Right, so we go here, select SDD and partition, or actually create a partition table first, create a GPT partition table and apply, and then create a new partition as XFS. and add that and apply the GPS. It's done. Close this out. Now there's one more thing to do is in FS tab. So mkdir data first of all. Oh, wait. Okay, yeah. mkdir data. And then in FS tab, what I did forget is to actually add std1 and not just std. And after that, if you do sudo mount a, that should have data. So if you go into data and quick dfh should confirm our mount, and then I want to check whether I have read write permission out of the box. So if I do touch a, I should be able to write, which I can't. So that we need to fix. So we give the entire folder. I'm doing this very raw. Don't do this. Check your permissions, but I can do sudo. No, I can just do chmod. Chmod 777 and then cursive on data. Okay, I can't do that. Yep. And then same with the executable bit. And you can go into data, you can do a test, you can do that, and then we can also copy, say, a file from here and then execute it. That works. And then we can make a AOSP directory, and we'll get back to this. So we have to do two things here. I'll update first. And then we need to increase the memory. So to increase the memory, we go into my Windows user folder. We can just do it from WSL itself. So cd mount and WSC drive user, my user, and here's all the user stuff, and I can do nano dot WSL config. And yep, it's already there. So you need to make something like this. Otherwise it limits you to just 50% of your system memory, and I have enough headroom to break that, and to I have 32 gigs installed, 21 is fine, and the rest remains for the OS. So we leave it at that. And then we'll actually do a quick shutdown and restart, just so the updates take effect. So that killed it, and then just need to start it again from here and wait for it to come up. And there it is. You can see our partition is mounted or not. It's not, so we need to run mount A again. That's weird. So it looks like we need to reattach the drive to WSL. It doesn't do it permanently. So we can do that and then mount A should attach it, and then we have our stuff here, right? So let's go into data and then AOSP and stay there for a while and then look at actual building AOSP instructions. And of course it's Bing, so it doesn't get the actual link up top. Not too good. We have to set up a build environment, so we need to download a couple of dependencies, and we'll just look for 18.04, copy that, and then apart from that we do need zip. Unzip's already there. Libin curses 5 dev is there, but somehow it didn't get installed. So, and you need the non-dev stuff as well. And then build essential. But that's already there. I don't know why. Like last time I tried it, it really didn't get applied. It complained all the time. But anyway, we have it all now. So hopefully nothing goes wrong. Okay, now we need the repo command. So we'll move forward with that while this is downloading. Yeah, interfacing through a screen recording software is not the best, especially like HDMI capture. Okay, that. Wait for this one to finish. And then so we have that installed. I think we need to add our GitHub's things into it as well. So username and email, this is required. You can add anything, any bogus thing into it unless you are planning on upstreaming. So I can just add stuff here. And then we can start to repo sync everything. And I can take a break because that takes a ton of time. Just make sure you have a good internet connection. Don't right, this was another issue with Python. So for that, sudo apt install python -is -python 3, and something that should already be installed. It's just a soft link from what I can learn, but no one does it. And then we do repo sync, and with a couple of config options. press yes. And then we do reposing dash c, so it just checks out the current branch, and then J8. Repos default is J4. If you have more core and enough bandwidth, you can actually pull a lot more by passing J8 into it. So I did, and now it's just fetching. So the thing is, if you don't use like a raw drive, um, all of this stuff here, the anything that writes to the physical media, so in NTFS won't work at all. Don't bother about it. But if you create a virtual hard disk file and then pass it through, or there's you've attached a drive to Windows itself and then pass it through, all of that like really messes up the IO calls to and from the VM and the hypervisor level, and the VM, and then WSL and the actual Linux stuff that's running, and it overloads the system. So to the point that in this step, my CPU would be going 100% on all cores when I tried it with that. It wasn't fun. So do it this way, and it'll save a lot of time. Um, I don't know why it peaked on the Ethernet. I have nothing plugged on the Ethernet, but anyways. Right, it's receiving the source. This will take a while. It's hundreds of gigabytes, and I'll see you when it's done. All right, it's been a while, so our download is complete, and then we just proceed with the regular method of building AOSP. So nothing too fancy. So just source, environment, and then run lunch and wait for it to populate. And then I can see I'll build for the RB3, which is listed as the DB845 here. There's option number 40. Just because it's a pretty good build, builds the kernel, builds the GPU drivers and all of that stuff, all open source, all in the kernel source right now. So it's kind of fun to build that. And once you select that, it sets up the build, and you can just run M and then J8, and that should start the build going. Yeah, so on this system it takes like 4 hours. So once more, I'm going to go back and get this build, and of course you guys will see a cut down version of it. And there you have it. It's built within 4 hours. So yeah, there's nothing more to it. The artifacts are available. So if you, of course, you can't directly access them through Windows itself. You need to copy them over because we formatted the hard drive as such. So if you go ls out target product, and then there you go, all the images are there. And then you can copy them out. The easiest method would be to just cp them to mnt user c and some random folder. Let's call it out. uh I don't know how much long that will take, but that should start populating the C drive folder, a drive that's accessible by Windows. So we can already take a look. Uh-huh. And it will start adding more stuff as it copies. So yeah, there you go. That's AOSP built on Android. I'm not sure if Lineage or any other ROM specifically has some extra issues or some extra steps that are required, but they should build as well, as whatever uses this build architecture should work. And yeah, I'm kind of happy for it. Like, a lot of people had to run weird VMs and stuff to do that, and there would be a lot of performance loss with the build times I'm seeing here. There isn't. It's actually very close to what a build like this would take on this particular laptop. I'm not talking about my main workstation that does it in around 50 minutes, but this laptop, yeah, does it in 4 hours. And yeah, you do need an extra hard drive, but if you're looking to get into it permanently, then that's a good idea. Um, if you have a large enough hard drive, you can probably just um, partition it and one as ext4, mount the partition, format the partition, and you're good to go. Um, yeah. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this was somewhat helpful, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.